I heard he's going to reform school.
I heard that they're gonna take out a piece of his brain, send him to an insane asylum.
I like his girl.
She's too scruffy for me.
Supposedly they got to third base.
That's not true. He just felt her up. Overshoot or undershoot? Damn us! It's none of our business.
Hi, my name is Aidan Butler, and in this video essay I'll be attempting to highlight and analyse the chief stylistic features within the films of Wes Anderson, and how, through the use of these features, he has secured a distinct, personal style of cinema. While identifying every feature used by the filmmaker will go a long way in breaking down what exactly makes a Wes Anderson movie, I believe his signature filmmaking style can be seen in a number of the more obvious examples. These include, but are not limited to, framing, colour, a distinct character and set design, music, primary themes within his films, and even casting decisions.
Very good.
Firstly, let's discuss one of the most immediately obvious aspects of Wes Anderson's filmmaking that contribute to creating his signature style: his formalist framing. Everything you see on screen in a Wes Anderson movie has been carefully planned and meticulously presented. So what are some examples? Well, for one, symmetry. Anderson's love for symmetrical frames in his shots can be seen in almost every film he's created. Whether he's balancing people, objects, or places, it's perhaps the most visually striking aspect of his signature framing. When discussing the topic of his visual cinematic style, Anderson has said, "I have a way of filming things and staging them and designing sets. It's sort of like my handwriting as a movie director, and somewhere along the way I think I've made the decision I'm going to write in my own handwriting." Another feature of Anderson's distinct use of creative framing is his use of windows and door frames. His films are filled with these kind of shots, using them as extensions of character for dramatic and comedic purposes, and really reinforcing this sort of doll's house effect that many of the sets seem to possess. French philosopher Gilles Deleuze wrote saying, "Doors, windows, skylights, mirrors are all frames. The great directors have particular affinities with particular secondary frames, and it is by this dovetailing of frames that the parts of the set or of the closed systems are separated, but also converge and are reunited."
Mr. Mosher, sir.
Mr. Mosher?
Yes, Monsieur Gustave.
Am I to understand you've surreptitiously hired this young man in the position of a lobby boy?
He's been engaged for a trial period, pending your approval, of course.
Perhaps, yes. Thank you, Mr. Mosher.
You're most welcome, Monsieur Gustave.
Another cinematic tell of Wes Anderson's visual style is the way he operates the camera around certain props: letters, newspapers, books. Great care is often taken to ensure this crucial text-based information is presented to the audience as clearly as possible. As a result, Anderson has created a stylized obsession giving these props the entire frame in a typical formalist filmmaking fashion. As previously mentioned, the colour palette of Wes Anderson's work has played a huge role in influencing his style as a filmmaker. Favouring bright, vivid, eccentric colours, Anderson takes his visual storytelling to the next level by allowing the colour alone to bring out a specific mood or provide insight into a particular character.
I'm a sparrow, she's a dove.
No, I said, what kind of bird are you?
With this in mind, watching the Grand Budapest Hotel, we see the frame is bombarded by rich, playful colours with lots of red, pink and purple, both in the set and on the characters. This colour palette serves as a symbolic reference to the tone of the film itself, reminding the audience the film is by nature a light-hearted, fun experience.
You've nothing to fear. You're always anxious before you travel. I admit you appear to be suffering a more acute attack on this occasion, but truly and honestly, oh dear God, what have you done to your fingernails?
I beg your pardon?
This diabolical varnish, the colour is completely wrong.
Oh, really? Don't you like it?
It's not that I don't like it. I am physically repulsed.
Conversely, looking at a film like Moonrise Kingdom or Fantastic Mr. Fox, the colour palette is completely different, with a bigger emphasis on natural, earthy colours, like greens, browns and yellows, reflecting the huge role the natural world plays in the worlds Anderson has created. It's this conscious approach and adaptive application that makes Anderson's use of colour within his films distinct and personal. A perfect example of Anderson's ability to play around with the colour scheme of his films can be seen here, in the Grand Budapest. For the first and only time in the entire film, this sequence is shot entirely in black and white. The colour is literally drained from the frame, as Zero reflects on the death of his best friend and mentor, Monsieur Gustave.
There are still faint glimmers of civilization left in this barbaric slaughterhouse that was once known as humanity.
You filthy goddamn football precious asshole!
he was one of them.
When talking about visual tendencies that really scream Wes Anderson, I feel it's important to mention one crucial aspect, his unique mise-en-scène. A meticulous set design, carefully crafted, has many benefits to a filmmaker, but one side that Anderson really takes advantage of is its ability to showcase a character's personality and role within the story. A ruthless and efficient contract killer, determined to close on his next target. A resourceful outdoor adventurer, carefully planning his journey. A well-organised financial genius, making the most pragmatic use of his youthful days. Or a disillusioned father, isolated and resentful towards his family. Anderson gives us all the context we need in these shots to understand the character, who they are, what they're thinking, how they're feeling. No exposition through text or dialogue, though even these examples have their creative merits.
Frank Bean is a turkey and apple farmer. He invented his own species of each. He lives on a liquid diet of strong alcoholic cider, which he makes from his apples. He's as skinny as a pencil, as smart as a whip, and possibly the scariest man currently living. The local human children sing a kind of eerie little rhyme about him. Here, listen to this.
Another important stylistic feature I'd like to touch on is Wes Anderson's use of music, both his choice of music and how he applies it. For a lot of filmmakers, music is there really just to mirror the visuals, and in a lot of Wes Anderson movies, this is no exception. For example, when we see Margot Tenenbaum, a black sheep of her family and an outcast when compared to her siblings, we hear this. Or, when we're introduced to the world of Camp Ivanhoe, a ship-shaped scout camp in Moonrise Kingdom, we hear this. However, while this accurate matching of tone for both oral and visual filmmaking goes a long way in cementing the absurdist charm that Anderson is known for, there's plenty more examples of music being used in his films for more than just filler. Some examples include having the music in sync to the action on screen, specific tracks being used to represent and symbolize particular characters, or carefully managing the tempo and rhythm of the music to create tension within the film.
France, darling, he's with me.
Come outside, please.
Now, wait a minute. Sit down, Zero. His papers are in order. I cross-referenced them myself with the Bureau of Labor and Servitude. You can't arrest him simply because he's a bloody immigrant. He hasn't done anything wrong. Stop it, Ben!
Never mind, Monsieur Gustave. Let them proceed.
Ow! That hurt! You filthy goddamn pockmarked fascist assholes! Take your hands off my lobby boy!
Another staple feature of Anderson's filmmaking that contributes to his distinct style as a director is his recurrent motif of family-based themes and stories in his films.
It's usually hard for me to say whether any movie I've done is a comedy or a drama or what exactly it is. But there's something in the center of it that's family tragedy, and everything is sort of reacting to that.
Why are we talking this way? What's wrong with us? We should be celebrating.
What are you doing here?
I live here. These people need me.
What about us?
Whether it's an overprotective father, an attention-starved son, or an orphan child trying to fill a gaping hole at the center of his family life.
What am I supposed to do with them?
That's up to social services. They'll be in touch with you. They'll look after Sam. Good luck to you.
Anderson lets these family-based tropes within his characters drive the story from the very beginning, with characters often portrayed struggling to find a place for themselves within a conventional family setting.
And the whole time I put paw over paw, scooping dirt and pebbles with your mother digging like crazy beside me, I kept wondering, who is this little boy gonna be?
Or girl.
Or girl, right, because at that point we didn't know. Ash, I'm so glad he was you. It's not your fault. It's mine.
Lastly, I feel it necessary to discuss another trademark feature of Wes Anderson's filmmaking that can be identified uniquely as his own. his casting decisions. Over the course of his 11 feature-length films, Anderson has built up a staple repertoire of recurring cast members, including Hollywood legends like Bill Murray, William Dafoe, and Owen Wilson, making the inclusion of these actors another distinct attribute of his classical filmmaking style. After all, the mise-en-scène of a film can be loosely defined by what, or in this case, who, is being presented on screen. To sum up, when defining the filmmaking style of Wes Anderson, it's not just a symmetrical frame on a long tracking shot, it's the meticulous crafting of every aspect of his cinematic experience, making him a perfect example of a modern-day auteur.
C'est le temps de l'amour, le temps des